So, ToonKritic's news has been widespread across the fandom, and everyone except Equestria Daily, I guess, has been covering it. Instead, Equestria Daily would rather focus on important subjects, such as an iPhone 8 going into their cargo pants. I bet you no one got that reference. However, Toon's friends have been kind of forced to disassociate themselves with him. And I don't blame him. ToonKritic is, after all, a pedophile, a serial groper, and much, much more. However, they haven't really been disassociating themselves in any real effective way. Like, let me just show you some of what I mean. We'll start with Josh, because that's the best place to start, it seems. Now, in case you do not know, Josh recorded the call that I've actually played on this show before. Essentially, it was the one where several of ToonKritic's friends call him out. Or at least two did, those being Josh and British Ninja. The other ones in the call, those being Irish John, who, by the way, just a quick correction, he's the one who said Road to Help is paid with good intentions, not Solar Flare. Sorry about that confusion there. I'm not really familiar with either of them, so I got their voices mixed up. It's still not a good thing to say in that context, mind you, because it implies pedophilia has good intentions, but, you know, still. Solar Flare, who didn't actually say all that much. Aeon of Dreams, who said maybe two things. Kichi, who said literally nothing. And, of course, the boy himself, Toon, who was being called out by precisely a third of the call. Josh recorded this and gave it to a couple of people, and eventually someone leaked it. Here is what he had to say, mind you. As I said before, there were a few people who were too emotional to handle the call professionally. So instead, you got people who I'm not even convinced were at the computer at the time. Again, Kichi said literally nothing. Many of the people he hurt were too distraught to even think about hearing his voice. Remember that. And others just wanted to yell at him. Good! He deserved it! That's like the least he deserved, was to be yelled at for everything he's done over the years. Not just the pedophilia, but also the groping, the manipulation, all of that. I'd say, yeah, he deserves to be yelled at quite a bit. And by the way, if you're going to sit there and praise British Ninja for going hard on Toon, which on a side note, he didn't, just remember, Josh could have gotten people who were actually going to be hard on him, but refused to, and instead got 4 people who were extremely uninterested, essentially. Okay. In the end, we decided to help some of the group get a little bit of closure with Toon and let them see how he reacted to the situation by recording the call. I don't know how the call got leaked, but I assume it went something like this. Me, here's what happened with Toon. This is for this group only. Promise me you won't share the call or the Skype messages around until the police get a chance to investigate this. So you just wanted him to be able to run around while everyone remained ignorant of the information. Good to know. Second person, I said I wouldn't tell anyone, but I'll make an exception for you. Promise you won't tell anyone. Third person, I said I wouldn't tell anyone, but I'll make an exception for you. Promise you won't tell anyone. Someone eventually, I can't promise that. I can't keep silent about this. I have to alert the masses. And you know what? That guy was right. That guy was right, because when you do something like this, the world should know. When there's proof of this, the world should know. I have no issue with this. At all. Now, I do want to say, I'm going to make this clear. This is only Toon. we are talking about, because I know someone's going to try and strawman this on me. If you are using this to attack Toon's family, for instance, I'm against that, because they did not do anything. Toon did. Attack him. Go after him. Criticize him for doing this. That's what I've been doing for the past week. Do not go after his family. Leave them out of this. That's on me in the end. I should have guessed it would have gotten leaked like that, considering how the internet works. Okay. Of course, this was not limited to text posts. Tons of his friends made videos, for instance, or former friends, I should say. And now, I am going to do something for the first time in Ephrom Josine history, and something I only do when extremely desperate. I am going to use Golden Fox as a positive example. His video, Golden Statement on ToonKritic Y2K, was actually very good. It was a professional statement that, while it didn't go as far as I personally would have, mind you, still managed to inform the viewer he was against this and did not tolerate the behavior by any means, without at the same time playing apologetics, essentially, or going so soft it came off as weird. Which is something a lot of the people we're about to go after did quite a bit. And granted, it's not perfect. There's a part where Toon says, or Golden says, not Toon, Golden Fox says that this brought him into an emotional breakdown, which I guess would be powerful if, you know, Golden Fox didn't already have an entire story arc that was essentially just him having an emotional breakdown. Also, the focus on him is something we're going to get to in greater detail in a minute, so do not worry. However, overall, the video was mostly fine. It wasn't a particularly bad one by any means. Which brings us to our next topic today. Ladies and gentlemen, meet Mad Munchkin, who recently made a video called Mad Munchkin Breaks Silence, which is about ToonKritic. Now, before we begin, I should say there's a controversy around this video in which people are claiming that she monetized it. Her excuse is her uploads are by default set to monetization. I don't even know if this is true or not. I didn't see it when it was monetized. She's demonetized it since. And even then, I'm just going to be honest, I don't care whether it is or not. You know, like, I can understand if you don't feel comfortable monetizing the video yourself. However, if you're, I still think videos about important issues should be allowed to be monetized, if only because most of my favorite YouTubers are political commentators, and if I were to use that logic, you know, they never see it. They're already not seeing any ad revenue anymore, so, you know. But let's actually get to what Mad Munchkin says. Now, in the video, she says that this information came about in a way she did not intend it to, or the community did not intend it to. Now, she later had to post this in the description. Edit. People seem to have misunderstood me. It was never our intention to withhold the information. Where we were, of course, going to give an official statement to inform the fandom. But before we could, the evidence for this incident was leaked. Please stop accusing me and others for withholding the information from you all. One, it's a known fact you guys did, at least temporarily, withhold the information. We just read the post of Josh saying the call shouldn't have been leaked. We just read that post. Those two, did you guys intend to withhold it or not? That doesn't make any sense. For that matter, there's also the fact that there's some evidence, it's shaky evidence, mind you, but there is some evidence and there is some word floating around the grapevine that British Ninja had sat on these logs for up to 2 weeks. I don't know how long he did, mind you, however, there is some evidence that he did at least sit on the logs for quite a while. I don't know if it was as far as 2 weeks, but it could have been a couple of days, more than likely. And, by the way, information about this only started coming out up to a couple days. I'd say maybe around 4-ish days, if I remember correctly. of when the original call was taken, and everyone knew before then. So, wait a minute. You're going to tell me you didn't plan to withhold the information, but it took you half a week to, by complete accident, get the call of you guys calling him out on there. And then, it also took you, because I assume the British had the logs for at least a day before then. Also, you guys claim that you contacted the proper authorities. However, in the call, British and Josh calling Toon out with like 4 other people. They downright said they gave Toon a day to turn himself in. So that isn't immediately reporting it. So that's just a downright lie. And the claim they had no idea about this behavior, which Munchkin makes immediately after, is also, at best, dishonest. Because it's a known fact. I've brought this up a million times before, but he groped a woman in front of her boyfriend at a convention. That's just a known fact at this point. He tried to get someone who had a fear of intimacy to have sex with him. That's a known fact at this point. You guys were his best friends. And yet random people, this was common knowledge among the community. Pretty much anyone I talked about to had some idea of at least a couple of these stories. But you guys, his best friends, had no idea about it. Something about that just seems off. It seems shady to me. You know? Munchkin then goes on to talk about how the ToonKritic's scandal could harm the community's overall perception, including the many charities that have spawned because of this community. And to that I say, maybe you shouldn't have built him up in the first place, when information like this had been spreading for years. The only difference is this time it was with someone who was underage. And again, we've seen there have been several people who have come forward and said that, yes, Toon has been doing this for years. Some reports go as far back as 2006. But his best friends in the whole wide world just couldn't figure it out. Hey, here's a good idea. If you want to help protect the Brony fandom reputation, why not you don't build up people like ToonKritic? It's really that simple. I'm going to go more into detail on this in another day, don't get me wrong. However, to make it short, I think someone said it best on the previous video I made. Lily Pete does a video on ToonKritic, and the community reacts exactly how you would expect. This is from Star Gundam 07. Wow, the Brony community is so worried about their perceived image that they're willing to tank their actual image in the pursuit of it. That's what I get from this. You build up bad people, and then you wonder why they turn out to be bad people, and why people think the people you help build up, mind you, badly reflect on the entire fandom. This is your fault, Mad Munchkin. Not just your fault, but you are at least partially to blame for any bad repercussions this has on the entire community. But okay, Mad Munchkin was stupid. Now I'm going to get into the ones that genuinely angered me. We're going to start off with the least offensive of these next two. People, meet the Wilsonator / Thespio. You may be wondering why I'm calling him 2 names. That's because that's his actual YouTube name. Seriously, he has his YouTube name under 2 names. Now, Thespio, which I'll be alternating back and forth, maybe, I don't even know, made a video called My Statement on ToonKritic, clocking in at 9 minutes! Now, he does some of the similar things Mad Munchkin did, except his video is 3 times longer, so it's much more annoying. He says, however, that he has known Toon for 10 years. Meaning he has known ToonKritic's since, we'll just say 2008 for the sake of easy math. Which is also around 2 years after his first allegation of this goes to. That being the year 2006. But the Wilsonator was totally shocked about this, guys. Really, I promise. Am I the only one seeing the issue here? You've known him for 10 years. And you didn't figure this out when it's been so open, so out in the open for so long. I also would like you, and the video's in the description in case you're curious, but I want to notice how the Wilsonator never says, for instance, this man should go rot in a prison cell. Which is what I would have said. Instead, he says that he hopes Toon seeks help. Like that therapist he's supposedly been seeing for the past, what, year now? Wait a minute! It's almost like you can't help someone like ToonKritic. However, I find his softness on this. And I don't mean not calling out for full-on brutal punishment. I mean just sitting there saying, no, I just hope he seeks help. You know, we should just move on. And by the way, that's another trend I've noticed, especially among Toon's friends, is, oh no, we should just move on from this. They're trying awfully hard to cover it up, to sort of get everyone's mind onto something else. Wonder why. Now, it's clear what they're doing. And if you haven't figured it out yet, well, don't worry, I'll explain it in more detail in a minute. Despite that, though, the Wilsonator's video wasn't even really that much. It really could have been the same length as Golden Fox or Munchkin's video. As to why he didn't make it the same length, I honestly don't know. The only real difference is he talks about how Toon was a good friend of his for years, and how he considers all these videos to be memories now, and how the brony fandom which Toon helped him get into had helped him meet his future wife, in fact. Which, by the way, kind of a weird time to bring it up, that Toon got you into the fandom. You know, it seems like you're kind of trying to muddy the water and make it look like I totally didn't expect this, even though it was extremely obvious. Just, durr. I know this has been the video I spent the least time talking about, despite me building it up kind of earlier. However, this last one I have a lot of issues with. This last one, I actually considered making it its own independent video. That's how much I couldn't stand it. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, meet Dr.Wolf. Now, I'm going to warn you immediately. I do not like Dr. Wolf very much. It's just something about the way he speaks in his videos. It always comes down like he's doing this fake niceness. Where it's like, oh, yeah, I'm nice because you're too dumb to understand it if I don't talk like this. No, I understand that's just me, but it bothers me so much. I've never gone after him, though, because on substance, his videos are usually okay. A Moment with Dr. Wolf is typically it's typically a fine series, even if he forgets to write a conclusion in half of his videos, but that's besides the point. However, Dr. Wolf finally released something that I can go after. Dr. Wolf's video on this topic, Reflections During Troubled Times, insulted me. I felt insulted when watching this video, no joke. It is one of the worst videos I've seen on YouTube in quite a while. He starts the video giving a basic background of what happened, which I guess is fine. However, then he does what I talked about earlier and makes it about him. He says that he had sleepless nights. I don't know if I've made this analogy before, but you guys ever see that South Park episode, 2 days before the day after tomorrow? Remember the ending scene where Stan was just sitting there going, no, I actually destroyed the dam, and the whole time South Park was like, we all destroyed the dam! That's what watching this feels like. It's the most self-centered thing you can do. It's like, no, I'm also a victim into this. Ignore the fact that I enabled it for years. No, I'm also part of the issue here. Oh no, oh god, this is bad. I did not realize that. It's just painful to watch. He then goes on to tell a story about how he used to have a bad boss, which, okay, I guess that's a fine thing to share at a time like this. So we all know, yeah, life sucks sometimes, you know? Sometimes your boss is bad, sometimes a friend turns out to be a pedophile, and you only didn't realize it because you ignored it for years, but, you know, stuff happens. However, then he does something that I was just, oh god. He calls for forgiveness. I'm not kidding. He puts on this wise person quote that being, you know, he puts on it like, sometimes we forgive not because we are wrong, but because staying angry robs us of happiness. Or another one is, holding a grudge against someone is like poisoning yourself and expecting them to die. Your heart will turn black. Dr. Wolf is against hearts turning black, guys. What a great guy. So virtuous. That's a new one. Can I just say this is the most idiotic philosophy I think I've heard in a while? Look, Dr. Wolf has always struck me as the kind of guy who carries philosophy for dummies right next to his thesaurus whenever he goes anywhere. However, I always considered that a joke. Calling for forgiveness of a pedophile is kind of, you know, crossed the line, in my opinion, from, oh, no, now you're just being pretentious to, wait, what? 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 He then spends the rest of the video essentially just doing this and then saying that we should be focusing on the positive times and ignoring the actual discussion we can be having out of this. You know, Dr. Wolf, I'm actually kind of curious. And this also goes to Wilsonator, and this also goes to Mad Munchkin, and this also goes to Josh. But please tell me, why did you go so soft on this? There's an actual conversation we can have here about when to hold people accountable, how harsh should go, etc., etc. You don't want to have that. And may I remind you, all of these people are more popular than Toon was. I just find that kind of interesting. Now, I don't think any of these people are bad enough to be pedophiles by any means. I want to make that clear. I don't think they're that bad. I'm just saying, maybe in some other ways, like manipulation, for instance, they may share a couple similarities here and there. I would not be surprised to make it sure that the forces were attracted to them for a reason. Of course, that's just a guess, honestly, but based on what I've seen from these people, I would not be surprised. I would like to end this with something positive. I imagine a good amount of you are familiar with someone named the Webcake. If not, I actually recommend her Twitter. It's pretty good from what I've seen. I saw this thread there, and I instantly retweeted and liked it because I loved it so much. I'm just going to read it out for you. We should forgive our anger for Toon and him, says the former friends of the pedophile who let him get away with all his manipulating, groping, and ignored victims begging for help and justice, cutting them out and casting them out. Seriously, stop the fake motivational righteous college graduation speech. I got these quotes from Google Images bullshit. Let's forgive and forget, haha. Same, y'all been saying that for years, but because of it, he kept getting away with it. This is just gonna happen again and again. It's like Starlight Glimmer, guys. Forgive. This has nothing to do with My Little Pony. You can't always compare real life to My Little Pony, a fictional cartoon. Come back down to earth. I could not have said that any better myself. I'm Ephrom, and good night.